final boarding call for all remaining passengers. Please now make your way to the gate. The podcast is about to begin.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Travel. And this week, I'm absolutely honoured and delighted to be joined with my first ever travel legend. Now, we've had airlines, we've had hotel companies, tour operators, but we're going to do a little mini-series of legends. And who other than the infamous Willie Stewart. Now, for the listeners and viewers, I used to work for Willie Stewart back in the day, so it's everything I know is actually I have to blame on him. But Willie is the founder of Stewart Travel, which is a household name in Ayrshire. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show. Welcome to our podcast. And let's just take it right back. So Willie had a special birthday a few weeks ago. I'm allowed to tell the listeners,
yes,
80 years young. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And which means you've been in travel for 64 years.
Can hardly believe it, but it's true.
I know. And what you must have seen over the last 64 years is surely worth a book.
Well, I've thought about it, but who would want to listen to all my ramblings? But my family would like just to even do my memoirs,
Absolutely.
So that it's recorded and maybe they would read it, but we'll see.
So when I started in travel, for about 10 years, I worked for Willie and for Stewart Travel. And I absolutely think you should write your memoirs down, because even from that time that I worked for you, some of the stories and some of the challenges that we overcame as a business,
Yes.
Funny, some of them, not so funny, the other ones. But let's go right back to 16-year-old Willie. How did you ever imagine that you would go on to build something so incredible as Stewart Travel?
Well, of course I didn't, and I can't say that I had plans at the very beginning. I was brought up in Ardrossan, and I went to the school there, the Ardrossan Academy.
So did I, a good school.
Good school. Ad Astra, to the stars.
Absolutely, still is, yes.
And I regret to say I didn't like the school. I wasn't happy at the school, and I wanted to leave the school. And my parents were otherwise minded. They wanted me to go into some kind of further education. And I remember I was going, I want to be a joiner. No. You want to be an electrician? No.
Can't see you being a joiner.
I could even go plumbing. No. And then I noticed a job. Now, every town, a lot of towns in these days had this facility. We called it in Ardrossan the coal ree. Now, it's where the rail wagons came in with the coal on it. And the coal merchants came in with their open lorries, and the coal was bagged into 100 the bags, sacks, and then they went away. Now, I heard there's a job at the coal ree, so I must have disliked the school very much. And I went into my parents and I said, I'm going to apply for that job in the coal ree. And I think that was what made them change my mind. Now, fortunately, about the same week, I don't think I wouldn't have done that. My parents wouldn't have let me do that. Nothing wrong with that kind of work, but it must have been one of the dirtiest jobs you could ever get. Anyway, at assembly on the Monday morning, I think it was announced that there was a job for a junior in A.T. Mays.
A great name from
the past. A great name. One Mr. Moffat, who was brought up in Salkits. My mother knew Mr. Moffat. They lived in the same street, more or less. He started A.T. Mays, and at that time, they only had about 4 or 5 shops. So I went up, couldn't get home quick enough. Travel agent, yeah, you can go. So I went down and I was interviewed by Mr. Moffat himself. And he...
and where was the office at that time? Was it Hamilton Street?
It was Hamilton
where
Street.
The pet shop was?
A pet shop, yes.
Okay.
Just a wee funny aside, where the gents went to the toilet, there was a bath, and there was the goldfish for the pet shops swimming about the bath. Oh, it was...
The office didn't change that much over the years, I have to say, because I worked for them as well.
Well, we'll come to it later on, but I eventually bought over...
That's right.
That shop and the remnants of A.T. Mays.
Gone full circle.
Absolutely. Anyway, he said, "It's fine, William, we'll be in touch." So every morning, I was waiting the post, nothing. Then came the letter and I didn't get the job. Oh, and I knew then, with the intensity of disappointment, that's what I wanted to do in my life. I was so disappointed.
Their loss.
About a week or so later, however, that was in the same year at school as Mr. Moffat's daughter, Marjorie. And Marjorie came to me and said, "William, Father's got another job. You have to go down on Friday after school." So I went down and, sort of got myself all spruced up, looking good. And Mr. Moffat wasn't... it was a short interview. And I said, "Mr. Moffat, I'm not caring what the wages are at the moment, but what, once you got on a bit, what could you get?" Now, remember, this was the early 60s. "I reckon one of my managers will be somewhere around about £20 a week." So... I started and quite a bit less than that, but I didn't care. And I got the job in the Irvine office, which the building's no longer there. The shopping centre was built over that. And I got the bus from Stevenston. I was living in Stevenston by that time. And down, and I just loved it. I used to take, remember the big ABC before the computers came in?
Yeah, I'm that old, sadly, yes.
It was that size, and then it got too big, and it was two of them, two books, and it was the ABC, every single flight in the world was in it. And I used to take these home at night
and study
them and get to know how to work them. And then fictitious journeys. I want to go from Glasgow to Alaska via New York and,
work it all out.
I used to love it. And then I also take them back in the morning or we would be stuck.
But when you find something that, is in your heart and you want to do, nothing's going to stop you.
Nothing's going to stop you, I just loved it, And, excuse me, on a Saturday, my job was to square, I was the junior in the place, and I had to square the rail return.
Oh, yuck.
And it was the old... sort of small tickets, you remember them? Oh, you're showing your age as well, Linda.
I know.
The small tickets. And if you wanted a child ticket, you clipped a bit out of it.
I don't remember that.
You didn't.
Yeah.
So you'd keep all these little bits to signify that was a child ticket. Anyway, I had to square this on a Saturday, close of business. And I was there till 8:30 at night some nights. But I'm a 16, 17-year-old boy, and I didn't care. I just loved this. And so then I was transferred to the Kilmarnock shop, and it was okay, but I didn't like it as much. And an opportunity came to move to Glasgow.
The big city.
The big city. And I worked for 7 years for a company called M. McLeod and Company. They're no longer there either. And, I loved it. It was all kind of blue chip corporate travel they did. We did people like Jane Peacoats, which is a name in the past, I know, but they were big cotton wool manufacturers, places all over the world. I did General Motors, Drambuie, distillers company, and and I was booking these people out, all over the world, and I felt I was going with them, and and then in Glasgow, I just love Glasgow.
Ardross into Glasgow, the metropolis of the world.
I know, centre of the universe. So I really loved my time there, but I was beginning, I was by that time, I was 3 or 4 years with ATMAs and then 7 years in Glasgow with the other company. So I'm 10 years now, so I'm in my late 20s. And I was beginning to build up, a network of friends and acquaintances and, and a lot of bringing a lot of business into the company. So as they say, not quite in the back of a fag packet, but I always bought the Evening Times when I was coming down from Glasgow. And I remember working out, so-and-so, and roughly what it would cost me. And I thought, I could make a go of this myself. So I got back home and I got a map out of Ayrshire.
Now, at this point, were you married?
Yes, married.
Married, okay.
We got married in 1969.
Okay.
And our daughter Karen was born in 1972. So I was married, but Karen wasn't just there yet. So this was 1971. So I thought I could make a go of this. So I got the map out and I went down from Largs, and Prestwick was the only kind of town of any size that didn't have a travel shop there, a travel agency. And I thought, well, that'll work because my wife, she was from Prestwick, so
good contacts.
There was network there, again. And
and Prestwick Airport, of course, in those days was much more, there was a lot of flights.
There was a lot of flights out there, that's right. So I remember Ina and I went off, and I think it was about October or November, and a friend who had confided in had got this advert of a shop to rent in Prestwick from Prestwick Borough Council, as they called them in these days. So I hand wrote a letter to them.
Because no emails in those days.
No emails, and I didn't have access to secretaries and so on. And I wrote a handwritten letter and offered them £10 a week for number 3 Main Street. And I waited, and then I got the letter back. Yeah, fine, you can have it. So this was as I said, about the November say, and I knew that I had to wait. In these days, you couldn't just open a shop and start selling holidays. You had to get ABTA membership, and it was taking 3 months to get it. So I asked the council if I could delay the opening, and anyway, we started there in the not by design, but on the 14th of March 1972, and that was the morning my daughter was born.
Oh my goodness!
In Colwinning.
How was Ina's blood pressure that day?
Oh, she was on the oxygen in air.
You were wanting some.
She was gulping it up. I remember phoning an airline, BOAC. I'm going really back now. This was before British Airways. They became British Airways, and I phoned them from the just ordinary phone box, and you had to put, I think it's two pence and 10 pence you could put in, and I didn't want them to, I don't know how they'd hear the beep, so you know how it goes, beep, 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 and you'd put more money in. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
No, I do. Actually, I do remember that.
So anyway, I really splashed out. I didn't want them hearing that and thinking that I was doing it. So I put two 10 pences in.
Last of the big spenders.
That's right. So Karen was born on the 14th of March 1970. And in case I forget to tell you, I sold it 40 years later on the 14th of March 1970. I didn't know that. 2012.
That's 2012. Amazing. So 14th of March is a pretty special day in the Stewart household.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could have let them have it before that, but it was getting near it. And
it
I
made
said,
sense
you can't have it, you can't have it till the 14th of March. So that was fine. So there we are. We started off. I had one employee, and we're still friends with that lady. But sometimes she was off. Of course, she'd have a day off. So I'm left myself.
You mean you gave your staff a day off?
I gave them a day off. I've got whole heart. So I was very fortunate because I had no licences at the time. So I had to get my air tickets, just buy my air tickets and not make a profit on them.
Sounds quite similar to today.
Just about. So anyway, but all the British Airways ones, all the BOAC ones and the BEAs, I could get them at the airport. You know, they would issue them. So somebody would come in, if I was in on my own, somebody would come in and they would want a ticket and they were going the next day and I would say, fine, I'll have the
Give me a minute.
I'll have the ticket for you. 3:00 this afternoon. And then they would go away. I would take the phone off the hook so that if
It sounded
somebody rang,
engaged.
I knocked the door and I ran to Prestwick Airport with my cheque. I had to have the money for them. And back
Good old days, Zoe. I mean, see when you think now how easy it is. I'm not saying our job's completely easy, but compared to back in the day.
Oh, yes.
I was talking to somebody recently about airline tickets and how it was like 2 coupon tickets and 4 coupon tickets. And, you know, these coupons would get torn out at the airport and then come back to the issuing agent 2 months later, and you had to reconcile these air tickets.
Exactly.
And now, I mean, the travel agents of today don't know they're born, actually.
They don't.
You know,
it's all technology's made the difference.
I don't know if it's changed for the better or not.
No,
you know, because
some
they
of
were
it
good old
has,
days,
and-
weren't they?
But they were good, you know, and there was, it was more personal then, you know, and you had. You knew your reps and you knew...
Most airlines don't even have reps now.
No,
you know?
that's it. They don't have offices, and I don't know if there's
Crown
any
offices,
airlines.
airport offices, you know,
I
they
don't
have them
think
all.
there's an airline left with an office in Glasgow.
Don't think so.
But every airline used to have them, you know. But anyway, that's how it's going. So that was 1972 we got started.
So you said you started with one employee.
One employee.
And when you sold your business, how many years ago did you sell your business now?
2012 I
So
sold
in
it.
2012, how many did you have as a staff?
Well, we weren't at the very top, but I had 105 when I topped, maybe a couple of years before it.
So from 1 to 105.
1 to 105, yeah.
Well, amazing. I mean, it really was.
Well, we had 5 shops and a corporate call centre and the cruise call centre.
Yeah, so Scotland's Cruise Centre.
Yeah, that was a big milestone, you know, to start the cruise centre. And
Yeah,
you
because
know
obviously,
quite a lot about
well,
that.
it was obviously I was with you when we did that, but you know, I remember coming to you and you were a little bit hesitant. Should we do it? Should we not do it? Because cruising really wasn't. I mean, literally everybody goes cruising now, but going back to then,
It wasn't then,
It was a big
no.
risk for us to take, or for you to take, because it was your money, not mine. You know, but it's gone from strength to strength and is now a major player in
Without a doubt in the leisure sector.
So,
well, what happened as time went on? The tour operators had shops in the high street. You know, Thompson, as it was in these days, had Lynn Polly and Air Tours.
so for the
are going
listeners,
places.
Thompson's is now TUI, but if you're old like me, you still want to call it Thompson's.
I know, that's right. But they were selling through their own shops and giving them better deals. And then there was discounting was really fierce among the independents, like
So when you
myself.
started, would you say there wasn't really a discount?
There wasn't. In
No.
fact, there was a rule in ABTA that you couldn't discount.
Right.
They called it, they brought it in to kind of stabilise because a lot of companies have been going bust because they'd been giving it all away. So that was, and I thought to myself, really, you know, albeit, you know, it's great for people to go on holidays, I don't know if I'm going to be able to compete, you know, with all the discounts that are going on. Do I want to compete? No, I don't really. So I decided I would specialise in 2 sectors of the business, of the travel business. And the one was a cruise. And we didn't have the Scotland's Cruise Centre at that time. That came probably about more than 5 years later, maybe longer. And the other was what we call the visit friends and relatives, going to Australia and New Zealand, and a lesser extent, but lesser market in numbers, South Africa and Canada and so on. But Australia was the big thing. And I contacted Qantas Airlines and British Airways, and they gave great support. We did client nights. And it was in the days when if you wanted to make a phone call to Australia, you had to book it. You know, you just didn't lift the phone and dial as you do now.
Young people listening to this will be thinking you're talking a foreign
I
language,
know,
but it's true.
This is not all that many years ago.
And your client events, I remember them. We used to hold them in the Aviator Suite in Prestwick Airport. But we'd get hundreds and hundreds of people. The holiday show you used to do at Prestwick Airport every year caused complete chaos in the roads of Ayrshire. To the fact the police were giving us a row for not, getting...
They were,
But things have moved on. Can you even think that 300 people would want to come to a room and watch a film show?
No, I know. And what we did, we gave prizes. And the first prize was a half-hour phone call to Australia. And how we, down under, how we chose the winner was we put a card. You have won the phone call. We put it under one of the seats.
Right.
So everybody to get down and look under their seat to find this card.
Good old days, though, eh?
And then they came in, and quite often the whole family would come in. And we had the phone call booked, and they had to get in touch with the family out in Australia to say they were phoning. And then the phone calls usually went on for much longer than half an hour. But it was all worth it, and it gave you a buzz.
And probably good PR as well, because one of the things that Stewart Travel was famous for was its connections with West Sound Radio.
I was just going to go into that, yeah.
So many a time I would do when you were out of the country, which was quite a few times,
I know.
as you got older and could do that. So tell us about your West Sound Radio days.
How it all happened again. It's all in relationships, and as it was then, the rep for West Sound came in, a man called John Waters, and John had come into the shop to try and sell radio advertising, so they put him on to me. And I said, look, John, if I'd take the advertising, could we maybe get a wee spin-off? Could you have me in for a wee talk? I think we could do that. So he said, yeah, no problem. So we did that. And then that expanded until I was on every Thursday morning.
How many years did you do it for?
About 11 years it went on for.
11 o'clock
11
on a
o'clock
Thursday.
till 11:30. And we did, the other thing that we did was listeners' offers. I took a group to Florida, so they advertised it without charging, and they get so much for every person that booked. So that again was giving me good publicity, really.
But in your heyday, that Florida trip would sell out within days.
Very quickly.
Because I did some trips with Ina over to Florida. And I still meet some of the people we took to Florida, the children who are now adults.
I know.
And they talk about these days so fondly of literally us taking them by the hand and taking them to...
You got Florida. Florida's easy, but... If you're maybe a bit older, and there was a lot of kind of people that were a wee bit older that went, and people going for the first time that needed a wee bit hand holding, just a wee bit reassurance.
Now you did New York as well.
Did New York shopping trip every
November
Thanksgiving weekend in November, and out on the Friday, back on the Sunday night. And Friday night, no, was it the Monday night? I think it was 3 nights. And we got you get I forget what it was. You get, if you go to Macy's, you get so many vouchers and you get a free gift. So everybody got a free gift, And
they were infamous, these trips. So it was people aspired to go on the Stewart Travel and West Sound escorted trips.
Aye, they liked them.
Your staff loved it as well because we got to go, so it was all good. But one of the highlights of my travel career was when I worked with Stewart Travel when we decided to charter Concorde.
We did, yes.
Was that in 95? Right. I was trying to remember. Yeah, I know it was August.
It was mid-80s anyway, I remember that.
Was it 80s? Yeah. I thought it was 90s.
Oh, was it 9:50? Well, I likely was, Linda.
Obviously before Concorde stopped,
Yes.
but we chartered Concorde. Now, in those days, to fly, we put this package together. It was 3 nights, flying out of Prestwick to New York, 3 nights in the Waldorf Astoria, and then 6 nights, because it used to take 6 nights to come across the Atlantic,
sail back
to Southampton, and it was selling for £2,500
I
per
know.
person. And at that point, the one-way flight from London to New York in Concorde was £3,000.
Is that
So we
right?
sold
Yeah.
it to it was called the Glasgow Herald in those days as an offer, and it was, basically we can do it cheaper and give you a free trip to New York.
I know.
And it sold out like
It sold like that.
And I was lucky enough to go on that trip
Yeah,
to
Dynamite
to escort it. It was
and
amazing.
I had always wanted to go in Concorde, but I was always too busy.
We didn't let you.
And you went with Ina on it, and then the crash happened.
Not the Concorde crash.
The Paris one.
Oh, the Air France one. That's right. Yeah.
And everything changed then. And it was hard to get tickets for it, and so on, because it was on the way out. But I did get on it. I'll tell you about that later.
Good.
But no, that was great. But then the cruising was becoming big. I remember I went down to London again, and I saw they were all separate at that time. I saw P&O and I saw Cunard, and they both said, "Yeah, we'll give you all our backing and give you the deals and so on." And that went on, and then I think you came in just quite soon after that, and you were kind of taken up, specialising in it. And then you came and you asked me if we would, specialise in it and start. And we had to do that because we were finding we were having these client evenings, and then it was too easy for people just they saw teletext, and they would phone the number there. And
there was nobody in Scotland really.
No.
The market was there for the taking,
It
really.
was,
but we're not going to kid people out. It was hard work. We put a lot of effort into it, long hours, but it was hugely successful.
But I remember it was teletext we did. This was a kind of revolving of about 40 adverts, and you got a minute, I think it was, each, and then the next one came on. So it was 12. It was 40 minutes till yours came round again.
Yeah, but then eventually it was like 120 pages, and then there was 2 teletext reels as well.
I know.
Everybody jumped on the bandwagon, but definitely Scotland's Cruise Centre were one of the first.
We got page 1. Not that you get any longer on, but there was something symbolic in that.
Yeah.
And so what happened? I remember. We were going, and it was quite a lot of money. It was about
it was a massive commitment.
Every week it was a lot of money, and we said we're going to do it, right? So we're going to do it, and we got a TV into the office, and it was coming on. We'll say at 9 in the morning or something like that. It's when it started.
I remember this.
And we're all waiting, and it is. And we're going all over the country. What is everybody seeing this?
And the phone started ringing.
And the phone started
and it never
ringing
stopped.
like that.
And it never stopped.
They started ringing like that. We became it was a national call centre, because this, as I say, went all over the country. And so it wasn't just Scottish people that were seeing it. They were, and we, and I think, I don't know but why it was, but certainly the cruise companies couldn't believe how well we were doing.
I don't think we could believe how well we were doing either.
No, and whether it was this name Scotland, because you
didn't want to call it Scotland's Cruise Centre. You wanted to, I don't know if you remember this, you wanted to call it Cruise Away Travel.
I did.
And you and I had a slight heated discussion about it, and I was like, no, Scotland's Cruise Centre, but then you had the bother of trying to register Scotland's Cruise Centre.
It took us about a year.
Yeah, it wasn't
because
easy.
anything with Scotland or Scottish in it has got to go through, as it was then, the Scottish office. So
but you did register Cruise Away Travel as well, because you were convinced that Scotland's Cruise Centre wouldn't work. We didn't even have time to think about a name after a few months. It was so successful,
and it just was. It was taking off, and then you start doing other things. You take allocations, and you start doing tailor-mades. Now we were the first in Scotland to actually put our own packages together, for cruises going out, say, from Barcelona or from Rome or from New York or from anywhere. And it was our mutual friend Sharon that kept pushing me to do this because she was going down south and it was getting done on a big scale down there, but she had nobody in Scotland doing it. And eventually we did it and we never looked back.
I think, what is coming through though is you were a first in a lot of things, but it's just a case of being in business and reacting to the market and doing what is right at the time.
Yeah.
As I say, holding client events now, you'd be lucky to get 2 people turning up.
No, you don't do it now. They've seen it.
Absolutely. So it's just evolving, always just been willing to change the way you do business, and
yes.
But highly successful. It's a lovely family name. It's lovely they've kept the name Stewart Travel.
It is. I'm pleased about that.
Yeah. But obviously, now you've been, I'm going to use the word retired, but I know you're not retired because you don't stop. You're involved in lots of different things. Well, how does it feel not to be in the thick of it?
Well, I when I look back at COVID, I really admire everybody that came through that, because the governments were handing out money to a lot of sectors and they never gave any money to travel. And
I'll take this opportunity to thank you, because you were really supportive during the COVID pandemic to the travel industry, and helped me build a fight back for the government.
We did. We had a wee
every
group
week
doing
we were,
that.
and you were really you were excellent in that. So thank you.
And it was unfair because travel, travel agents. If a hairdresser's got some money, I think.
Everybody get money apart from travel agents.
Well, we were booking holidays and we'd done all the work to book them, and then they were cancelled, and then we had to do the work all over again
for
to
no money.
the holiday for no money, and we just couldn't get through to them. But I really take my hat off to people that came through COVID.
It was tough times for sure.
It must have been very, very difficult times. And I miss the business, I've got to say. I suppose there's two sides to it. I miss the people, although I do still keep in touch with quite a lot. We've got a wee group, we call it a survivors group. And we meet from time to time in Glasgow. But I miss the good buzz about it. It
was a lovely, it is a lovely industry to work in.
It's a beautiful industry to be in.
Yeah.
When people came for an interview, it's notoriously not got the highest of wages.
That hasn't changed.
And when people came for an interview and I thought they were serious, I would say, look, this job will never make you a millionaire, but it will let you live like one occasionally.
You always said that. Yeah.
And I just think that's one, to be able to go travel first class in a plane when you're, in your 20s.
Going Concorde.
Going Concorde, staying in beautiful hotels, and it's for a wee while. And I think that broadens your experience as a person, and makes you a fuller person, because travel does broaden the mind.
It does.
And I just thank God I was at that school assembly when the job, that was my way out of school, but it led me into a beautiful and very fulfilling life.
Amazing life, yeah. We're out of time, Willie. I can't believe it. I said to you yesterday on the phone that we'd probably have to do a part 2, maybe even a part 3. So we've not even scratched the surface of, because we haven't even spoken about any of the funny stories of the time we were going to the naming of a cruise ship.
Oh, I remember
and you went to get the car hire and I was left to get the luggage, and I left your kilt on the baggage carousel. So anyway, there was royalty going to that event. You managed to beg, borrow and steal enough clothes.
I did. We got I didn't get a kilt, but I got
somebody else's dinner suit was just too short, and
didn't matter. Once you sat down, nobody sees you.
And I actually still remember, I thought it could go two ways here. He could go absolutely nuts, or he'll take it okay. And I'm very glad to say he took it okay. And your kilt was still there the next day when we went back.
It was British Midland.
But a lifetime of stories, because we've just, whilst I've worked for you for 10 years, we've remained friends
Absolutely.
throughout. And I'm so grateful for everything you taught me in Stewart Travel, because LAH Travel wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for what I learned in LAH. And Willie and I still regularly meet up for coffee, and if I'm having a challenge about something,
you'll phone me.
I can phone him and say, what do you think of this? And you're always the voice of reason, I have to say.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming on the show. And before you're 81, we'll get you back on the show. And we'll just start from the funny stories the next time.
Okay, thank you, Linda, not only for having me on today, but thank you for all you did when you were with Stewart Travel.
Great days.
You were a great worker, you gave it your all, and it's still going on what you did.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. So, that was a great show. I really enjoyed going down memory lane. I don't think I knew the story about the coal. I knew the story about A.T. Mays, so there's these memoirs. Definitely, I'm with Karen and Gillian. We have to get them written down, because you do have so many stories. So thank you for joining us on Let's Talk About Travel, and we'll see you again next week.